Uh, First of all, we have always, in all our policy and most of the decisions that we have taken in the last 5 years, we have always maintained that uh, the people are at the center of whatever we do. Hence, it only makes sense that even the budget should be a people-centric budget, and the people should be at the core of every policy and decision that we make. And hence, it is with that mindset that we have decided to call it the people's budget.
So you said in the coming years, you know, you'll bring policies and programs to double the GSDP of the state as well as make Meghalaya a $10 billion economy. So how do you intend to move forward in that direction?
Well, that's what the whole budget speech was about. So you have to go through the whole thing. That's the whole idea. We start off with a goal and an idea in our mind, and that goal is that we need to double our incomes, our GSDP. Now, we base that on the projected growth that we saw in the last financial year. And we saw that that kind of a growth, because of pandemic, we saw the growth being hampered a bit. But if you were to minus those pandemic years, we saw the rest of the years giving us that kind of a growth rate. So if we looked at, if that is the growth rate which we were able to move forward, we could clearly see that we are able to achieve that goal of doubling our economy. It's a very, very steep target, but it is our duty to ensure that we don't put easy targets. We need to work hard. So yes, it's a very, very tough target, but if we focus and we work well, I'm sure we can achieve it. That's number one. Number two, we saw that in the last 5 years, that when we invested strongly in capital and infrastructure investments, we saw that it was giving us a lot of returns and a lot of benefits. And hence, we have, if you have seen in the overall expenditure that we're doing, there's a lot of expenditure being done in the capital investments. So, with that, we will see that it's going to add towards the GSDP, which I just mentioned. We also realize that we need to push the primary sector, and that's why in the primary sector you can see that huge investments are being made. We also realize that there needs to be a huge investment from the private sector also. So therefore, a lot of stress is being put on different kind of PPP projects. We have stress on the IT parks that are coming up. We are also working towards ensuring that larger processing units come up. So these are all areas in which we're going to push. We have got a specific budget for the farmers. So all these aspects will add to that. So everything that's put in the budget is helping us to move towards that goal of achieving an 80,000 crore economy.
Sir, some people are hitting hammer and tongs against the government, saying that this government is surviving on loans. And how will you clarify that? And what
So
are the
can you
steps
give
to
details? What do they mean when they say loans?
They said that this government is overburdened with loans, and this government will be not able to function properly.
So anyway, I'll try to clarify that, because I need to understand what the specific loans that they are talking about. But just to share with you in specific, that the government of Meghalaya's loan and the debt level is very much within the limit of what the finance ministry allows, and hence we are very much within that limit. I am presuming that the World Bank and the other externally aided projects, since the word bank is there, I'm presuming that they feel that externally aided projects also are loans. And hence I have clarified time and again, and I have also mentioned it in my budget speech, that 90% of these funds that are coming in, the so-called loans, are actually repaid by the central government. And hence these are not loans in full to us. We only pay 10% of that as loan. So therefore this entire concept, or this entire confusion that is there, has to be clarified. That all the international banks that are giving the money to us, 90% of that money that comes in, or the loan that comes in, is repaid by the central government. It does not fall on the state government. Every budget that we have presented has been a deficit budget. And the simple reason is that when we are we're getting the revenues, the receipts, the income, as we call it, but it's not income in and from the government point of view, it's the receipts that we receive. Uh, it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that we spend all of it to ensure that it is used for developmental purpose. So getting money and then ultimately not using it and not using it for development purpose is also, in a way, the government is not completing its responsibility. And hence it is the duty of the government to ensure that every fund and every seed that comes in, we judiciously plan out and use it for the overall development. And hence, we would always see that we strive towards ensuring that we are able to achieve as much of welfare work, developmental work, and also our normal revenue, our expenditure, normal expenditures that we have, we are able to cover all of them. And hence, it is a natural and normal process to have a deficit budget.
Can you explain more about the first time climate budget? You have earmarked a lot of amount, but at the same time there is damage to environment, coal mining, coke plants are there, all these aspects.
Yeah. So the reason why we have come up with the environmental budget is because from day one we have always been stressing that we need to balance out between the economy and the ecology. We cannot say that we completely let go of all the economic activities, because then people will not have employment and will not be able to earn. But at the same time, we can also not just allow complete exploitation of the resources and not invest in the environment and completely allow the degradation of the environment to take place. So both have to be balanced out. And that's the reason why, while different economic activities and the natural resources are being utilized, which is essential for economic growth and for livelihood, and it has been going on for many years in our state. The way we are able to give back to the economy, to the environment, is to ensure that we invest back into the environment, and hence the environment budget is there to reflect and to show that we are also investing in the environment. So therefore, there is nothing wrong in saying that there are different activities going on, and while you're doing different mining activities, you're also now having the the climate budget. They both have to go hand in hand, but it has to be done in a balanced manner, and that's the reason why, to be able to gauge and put a number to what is it that we are investing back into the environment, we felt it proper to show all the investments and all the money that is being spent on different aspects related to the environment in form of a environment budget. So as we move forward and as the things happen, in almost everything, you see, you have to understand first thing from all about budget. See, budget is a policy document. You have to remember that. It is a vision that we have, and in order to achieve that vision, we are creating this policy, and we are having certain budgetary provisions to achieve that particular goal. But as we move along, we find that, well, in some areas we need to revise it. So therefore, that's why we have revised estimates. And then at the end of the day, what we actually spend is the actual budget. So therefore, as we move along, because we realize that at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of work that we have to work with Government of India. And we need to realize that these are supports that will require from Airport Authority of India. Airport Authority of India will be actually investing in it. So once they invest, if Airport Authority is investing in the extension of the runway, obviously that does not come into the budget of Meghalaya. So Airport Authority will spend it from Government of India's side. So all these different factors are there, and we will work with Government of India closely. And in case there are proposals that come through the state government, then we will make necessary supplementary provisions, and we will clear. But as of now, since majority of the infrastructure is under the Airport Authority of India, the budgetary provisions will be from their side.
By when Baltic Airport will be operational?
We need to, number one, infrastructural improvements have to be done there. And number two, we are working and discussing with different service providers to give us smaller aircrafts. So 19, 20, 25-seat aircraft is what we're looking at. And then we will go into an agreement once we are able to identify. I hope that within this coming financial year, we should be able to make it operational.
Sir, please can you shed more light?
Airport, which was discussed to be set up in Denpasar area.
So it's like this. Earlier, this was based on a court case that had happened. So therefore, as per the court's directions, a certain study and work was done into it. But we have also realized that setting up a new airport requires huge land acquisition, which may run into hundreds of crores. And then you need to obviously invest in the airport also, which we are not sure whether the government of India will actually invest or not, and how much they will help. So there is a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity when it comes to the new airport. We can still examine that. But easier way would be to see if we could somehow make this current airport slightly, more flexible and expand the runway and get more technical inputs as to whether larger aircrafts can land or not. So it looks like an easier proposition, and hence we are going to explore both. But as I said, the financial implications for the first one of having a new airport are too high, and hence it looks like if we go for option B, if it's possible, then we would prefer, because we'll be able to save money and the existing infrastructure could be used.
The hill cutting is more costly than.
So exactly, the earlier proposition was that the hill cutting has to be done at 7 kilometers point, but what if it doesn't have to be? So that technical report came in 7, 8 years, 9 years back. So can we examine once again? We're basing our decision on a report that came long time back from Airport Authority, and we have not found out. So maybe if we do a technical and feasibility study once again, maybe we may be able to come out with other options. So hence, it is worth exploring that than going and cutting the mountain, or in fact going for a new acquisition. So we have decided that we need to explore this more in detail. Those technical points that were mentioned by the then experts about this runway and all these things have not been deeply examined. So we need to examine them more in detail, that what are those points. So we felt that we need to do a more detailed case study on this and then decide. And maybe at the end of the case study, we may realize that there is no choice but go for a new one. But at least we'll be satisfied that we completed our homework.
Sir, please can you shed more light on the OTT platform, the Meghalaya?
I was waiting for that question. Yeah. No, so the OTT platform is at a very nascent stage, of course. But the whole idea and the concept is that with the idea and objective of providing a platform for our own media, people who are into movie making or music videos or any kind of different news channels also. So all these other different media houses are not having the kind of accessibility on a platform. So today you have to go to YouTube, for example, or other platforms, and only after a large number of views are there, you get some revenue out of it. So we are trying to give that kind of opportunity to our youngsters who are into media, into filmmaking, into music videos. We're allowing them to come into a platform, and the idea and the concept is that as and when they get certain viewership, then like in YouTube, there is a certain financial benefit. So we are working on that package to see that after you put in the content, the government will pay based on the amount of traction you get and the views you get. And it may not be required to come at the level of YouTube, where it requires 1 lakh, 2 lakh views, and then you get certain funds. So we'll try to reduce that number so that it becomes more easier in the beginning for our people to start coming onto the platform, and also be able to earn some revenue out of the whole model. So it is being worked out, but the point that we will do it, the decision has been made, and we have already, in fact, at a very advanced stage of creating the platform also. And the testings, in fact, are going on as we speak. And we're hopeful that in a few months from now, we'll be able to come out with the financial policy and package for how the OTT will work. But it still will require some more time to go into details. But as I said, the main idea is to promote our own people, to promote our own media houses, and to allow our youth to get a platform so that they can showcase and put up the videos and movies and different series that they make.
Would like to subscribe to such a kind of structure that you're giving, because one, they already have their own subscribers and they're known in the society, they have their own identity. Whereas in this, if they have to subscribe to this Hello Meghalaya, they would either have to share, if we talk about the money. Whereas in YouTube, they're getting the funds solely to themselves. They don't have to divide.
So that's a choice that the individual person will make. As I said that maybe in 1 lakh viewers, I'm just giving example of numbers, so don't quote me on the numbers. But for example, suppose there's a 1 lakh view, and suppose you get 500 rupees or 5,000 rupees from YouTube. I don't know what the numbers are. But say suppose on our platform, as soon as you get 5,000 views, you get the same amount that you're getting from YouTube. So we will incentivize in such a manner that you will get more by lesser viewership. And this will be more of a Meghalaya-centric, center. So therefore, the choice is of course going to be on the individuals. The idea is that we want to give that option. So today, our people don't have any other option except YouTube, and so well, it'll be your choice if you want to share the content or not. But government will incentivize and government will pay for the different viewerships based on the viewership that you get.
So coming to the health sector, is the government contemplating to set up a cancer hospital? Because we have seen from time to time the Meghalaya High Court has stressed very much on this issue.
Yeah, so we have the cancer wing and we intend to expand it and augment it even further. But what you have to remember is that it's not about just the treatment. You see, it has a lot to do with screening and early detection and prevention. So therefore, Meghalaya in fact is going for a holistic approach to all of this. We are looking at doing massive amount of screening so that early detection can be done and lives can be saved. And at the same time, as I said, we are going for the treatment part also augmentation, where we realize that the current setup needs to be increased. And definitely, if the need arises and based on the financials involved and all the other aspects involved, we'll definitely explore the idea of even having a full-fledged hospital if necessary. But right now, our plan is to augment and increase the overall capacity and overall services that are there in the cancer wing.
So what is the status of the Shillong Medical College?
So Shillong Medical College, as you remember last year, the government had cancelled the MOU we had with the earlier partners. I can't remember the name. And that was because for 10 years nothing moved forward and it was just dilly-dallying. And therefore, after that cancellation was done, we have explored different options, speaking to different partners and different private hospitals to come and work with us. At that point in time, there were 1 or 2 people who had approached and advanced discussions took place. They had asked for certain land to be given to them free of cost, based on which they would then build up the hospital and the medical college and give certain amount of seats to the state government also. And that kind of a model was being pursued. So even now we are in touch with them. So I hope that now that the new government and new minister is there, that we will pursue this aspect once again. We have already allotted, or rather we have already identified, not allotted yet, but identified about 50 acres of land in the new city area, where we will ultimately have this medical college. So the talks are on. I hope and I'm very positive that within this year itself, we will see positive results.
So earlier it was under triple P mode, PPP mode.
Yeah.
So is there any possibility that it will not be under the same model?
You see, the way we have observed is that running a medical college is not easy. Apart from having to pay for the running expenditures, which runs at hundreds of crores annually, the availability of doctors and professors also is a huge challenge. And with so many medical colleges coming up in so many different parts of the country today, the chances of good lecturers and good professors coming to our part of the country is lesser, because obviously they will have other options which they may go for. So the competition becomes more. So therefore, from a government point of view, running a college is something that is very challenging. And hence, we strongly feel that having a PPP mode is most probably the most idealistic way and proper way to go ahead, because we need to, as I said, not just set it up, we need to run it smoothly and efficiently. And but at the same time, obviously, the other side of the story is that the seats then are lesser. But then if we can talk to the people concerned and we can justify the investments made from our side, and the costs that are incurred from our side, and based on that we get fair enough seats, then it becomes the best model to move forward in. So therefore, we are in favor of discussing with more private parties, not just the Shillong Medical College which we are thinking of, but even further than that also, that we are hoping that not just 2, but at the end of the day, 4, 5, 6 medical colleges if can come up. Because it is required very much. And for government to run all of this, even to construct all of this would be huge challenge. And hence the PPP model would be the most practical way to move forward. Yeah, so, number one, we are expecting that our excise revenues, we will see, quite a bit of jump in that. So that is number one. And we are, for the first time, going to be hoping to cross the 400 mark figure. At, if you remember, 2018, when we had taken over, it was less than 200 crores. And today we are almost crossing 400 crores. So we have seen a steady increase in the overall revenue from, say, excise department. We are also going to see a significant jump in the GST collections also. So we are expecting almost close to 1,785 crores in the GST amount. We also expect that we'll have additional funds coming in from non-tax revenue also, because we are expecting that we will be able to have some sort of scientific mining and some of the mining plans being approved by Government of India. And hopefully we'll be able to actually see the scientific mining start. On top of that, we have over 30 lakh metric tons from the Coal India auctioning that is left. Once that is also done, we expect significant revenue. So we hope that we'll be able to finish that also very soon. So all these areas, we will see some increase in the non-tax revenue also. So it is always a challenge. In fact, states in the Northeast have faced that. But we are hopeful that, that we will see quite a significant jump this time. What is from compared last time? What is the percentage? 20%. So we are seeing a 20% jump in the state's own tax revenue from last year to this year.
Why is the government, not only your government, but successive governments as well, shying away from introducing new taxes, shying away from increasing existing taxes? Because as we see, the expenditure is climbing every year, especially the revenue expenditure. In fact, this year, capital expenditure is 40% plus.
Yeah, it's the highest ever.
Yeah, highest ever. So, but you don't see any new taxes being introduced.
There is limited scope for introduction of taxes in our state. The only thing we can do is we can increase the percentage in certain areas, which we do time and now. It's not that we don't do it at all. So you will see that sometimes the taxes on the petrol goes up. You will see sometimes that the excise policy we change. So these are done at the cabinet level every now and then. But introduction of main taxes, there are very limited scope. And therefore, it's not about shying away. Of course, these have political consequences also. But wherever required and as and when required, steps have been taken in the past, and we will continue to do so in the future also. We have seen that that the overall receipts has gone up, and of course, it has a lot to do with the share of central taxes that are there, and hence having new taxes is one part. But the second part also is to be able to ensure that we are able to, in the existing systems and existing policies also, we are able to collect maximum taxes also. So both these areas are being looked into.
The education budget, there is a 2,884 crore budget, whereas the salary alone from this whole budget is 2,015 crore.
Yeah.
So how do you see the education going, progressing? Because quality education will suffer. Maximum amount is given for the salary.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying from day one, that education department, we have 50,000 teachers, we have 14,000, 50,000 schools. We have many places where there are SSA schools and LP schools together. So I have been maintaining from day one that education is one of the biggest challenges sectors that we have. But having said that, things cannot be changed in one go. They have to be slowly changed. And that's why if you've seen why we keep stressing on the fact that, that we have been constructing infrastructure and all, because it has never been done before. Maybe for the first time in the last 5 years, all LP schools are now being renovated. Either the new construction taking place or renovation, government LP schools. So there are about 1,000 plus, almost 2,500 plus government LP schools. So for the first time, it was only in the last 5 years that they were, so we invested almost close to 400 crores. And we will continue to do so to improve other facilities in that. So slowly and steadily, we are working on it. But this has been the scenario for the last 5 decades.
So is the government,
There are
is
there
the
are
government-
so many categories of teachers. Is the government planning to address
do away with the
category of
yeah,
teachers?
categories of
It's not so simple. It's not so simple because all these different categories of schools and different teachers have been appointed, some by the government, some by the managing committees, and therefore it'll be difficult for us to simply try to merge them, because at the end of the day, the financing that comes and the salaries are paid from different sources for different teachers. For example, the SSA salaries are coming, to large chunk from Government of India. The ad hoc teachers, we give grant and aid to the respective schools, and then they, along with their own income, along with the grant and aid given from our side, they give salaries to the teachers. Government school teachers receive from the government. So they're all in different categories and appointed separately, and hence any change in that or any step towards trying to remove some of the categories will obviously create a lot of friction, and it's not so simple, and therefore it has to be dealt very delicately, and but slowly and steadily we can start off by trying to get to the low-hanging fruits, where, for example, there are certain schools that have less students and more teachers. So some kind of rationalization processes can start there. There are some schools which don't have any students. There are some schools which are, in fact, in the same location there are 2-3 schools, and hence, the overall utility is not there. Some areas don't have a single school. So some rationalization can be done at the first go, but to be able to say that we are going to completely do away with certain sections of certain classifications of teachers and remove them, it's not that simple. It's complicated, but we'll have to slowly work towards it.
So one of the sources from which the state is getting its central share is income tax. Now there is a school of thought here in Meghalaya saying that the super rich tribals who are being exempted from paying income tax should now be brought into the income tax net, because you can see the disparity between the poor and the super rich is too vast, which cannot be bridged at any cost. While last year you had introduced a law where working people have to pay certain taxes.
Which one?
As in professional tax.
That is from long time back.
No, we have increased, I think we have revised the.
So the professional tax has got a slab from the
that is
parliament
one
point
part.
of view, so
But
that
then,
cannot be
sir,
increased
but then,
by.
sir,
So what we did was we just simply rationalized that part. We didn't introduce new tax, so that's not. I just want to correct you from that. This was introduction of
we
new
have
tax.
rationalized the system.
Yeah, we rationalize it in terms of, but stuck to the the slab that has been already put in the constitution. It's already there in the thing.
But then it is not doing justice. The people,
See, this is a larger question. One, for us to be able to sit here and debate about this, we can debate. But this is a larger question that is to be done at a national level. So, at the state budget level, I guess this discussion is not relevant. We can debate about it, but as I said, it's a question at the national level. See, the reason why we've put this there is that we strongly feel that ultimately we need to understand the mindset of our citizens. Now, just to give an example to you, we realized that once we started engaging with the youth, we started realizing that what we want to do and what the youth want us to do, they were quite different in many ways. Youth had a lot of interest in sports, but we felt that other areas were more important. But once we started engaging with the youth, once we started discussing with them, and once we started getting feedback from them, our policies were impacted by the discussions we took. So the idea of this concept that we're bringing in now is to engage with our citizens. And you're right, we will have to work this out as we move along. But my point is that we need to start thinking in that line. See, it's not about just building that road or building that canal or putting up a particular hospital. We need to realize at the end of the day, what is it that makes people satisfied and leads to their happiness overall. And therefore, the government, as a government, we have decided that this concept will now be introduced. We will work towards ensuring that we don't just look at that development from a GDP point of view or from one particular development aspect only or the expenditure, but also from the view of the point of what the citizens want. So it's a concept. You're right. We have to work towards it. We will have to engage our teams to ensure that we start this process. But we will be one of the few governments. I think Madhya Pradesh had started it some time back, so we'll be the second state. So we'll have to adapt that towards the systems that are there in the state. But it's a concept that we have decided that we're going to do this now.
A while ago, we were asking questions about environment, pollution. We have seen in other countries and few states in the country, they have started to implement green tax for old vehicles. So in this case, is there any plan that we can also have this kind of model?
Yeah, we can have different models. Like, for example, we have also started by having the EV policy. So we are, in fact, now in the EV policy, we have completely done away with any kind of registration fees or nothing. You don't have to pay any tax to the government if you buy an electric vehicle. So technically, you're saving quite a bit of money. So therefore, we are looking at different ways. So a green tax on, say, the vehicles beyond a certain age limit, like say 15 years old, 20 years old, vehicles are there. But that again impacts a lot of people who are living in rural areas, who are are economically not at that level. So developed nations can look at these kind of aspects because they have crossed a certain level of economic well-being. We still have a lot of those challenges. So we'll have to balance out between a decision like this of putting a tax and forcing people not to use vehicles beyond a certain age. It can be explored, but as I said, we have to keep in mind also the fact that our economy and the people living in our state have not crossed that economic level yet where it'll be not very fair to start imposing these kind of very harsh taxes. Though as we go along, maybe many years from now, that these kind of concepts may be introduced in certain sections or certain parts of the state. But as of now, it may be a bit too early for us to explore those areas.
What about the vehicle scrapping policy, sir? Government of India already has that policy.
Yeah, so that's what I said. So we have to see the economics, thing of the people also. While we look at the environmental aspects, we also need to see that we don't create more economic hardship for the people. So there's always a balance. But as I said, as we move along, these obviously thoughts have always come across. We even have thought of the congestion tax that is imposed in many parts of the world. Like, for example, if you go to London, if you're in a specific part of London, there's something called a congestion tax, which means if you don't pay it, you cannot enter that zone. So there are all these options are there. For example, a place like Singapore, they have tax, say 5% tax for the first vehicle you buy. The second vehicle you buy, then you're charged 15% registration, and third vehicle you buy, you're charged 50% registration. So we have explored all these different formats of taxation. But as I said, that at this point in time, maybe our economy and our people are not ready for all these kind of things. We need to, as I said, keep in mind a balanced approach to everything. But yes, we can definitely explore in all these areas. But as of now, we have not decided to go ahead with any of this.
But are you ready to have a correct and strict policy when it comes to vehicles which emit heavy smoke?
Yeah, those policies already are in place for a pollution board and all these things. So those testings will have to be done. And obviously, if this beyond a certain limit, those vehicles will be, of course, you'll have to either repair the vehicles, or obviously they will not be allowed to be plied. But as I said, beyond that, we are still to explore, as I said, the taxes in that line. But it's not something that is not doable. It is doable, but we'll have to examine the matter.